up on the bank there. He was right next to the crossing. We actually drove him out of where he lived when we crossed over. Straight out of this creek that you're looking at behind us. He's 70 centimetres and fought pretty hard this one, and we're worried we're going to lose it. Centimetres at Green Lagoon. Pete and I spent about 2 hours catching this most pathetic small mullet ever, and this guy still took one. So it was a tiny little mullet. Would have been about. It was, yeah. We were doubting ourselves whether it was worth getting the live bait. We fished with lures all day and got nothing. So yeah, this is on top of two 56 centimetre barra that we also took. But yeah, we'll keep this one for fillets. And very nice. It's incredible. Big boy sitting up on the bank there. He was right next to the crossing. We actually drove him out of where he lived when we crossed over. Just where Pete and Ginny are crossing here, there was a massive crocodile sitting right in the crossing there. And when we approached, he upped and left. Never seen anything like that before. The scary thing is I have actually walked this little creek once thinking it was too small for any crocs. Unbelievable. You've got to be so careful. Well, I need to be more careful. So I've been bragging to my auntie Virginia and my uncle Pete about how good these Yozuri twitch bait lures are, and we specially went to our tackle world in Darwin to get them, and I think it was the fourth cast, was it Pete? Fourth cast with the lure, fourth or fifth.
Yeah, yep.
We've only been here for about an hour. This 58 centimetre barra has hit the lure. So 58's legal and it's perfect dinner size. So we'll be cooking that whole on the coals. And my fish catching record on camping trips with Uncle Pete and Auntie Virginia is 100%. This is what the lure I was talking about. These are the Yozuri twitch baits. Holographic sort of appearance, as you can see, and it's a slow sinking twitch bait, so it sinks slowly, gives you plenty of control. And if you basically, I've been winding it in sort of reasonable pace, but with a few sort of jerks or snatches, and that just moves it. That seems to work, and they are bloody good lures. They're the best ones I've ever bought. If you can get them. I don't like. I'll let this one go, obviously. Might even be able to get that far. So about an hour after the last one, Pete and Gin were just preparing the other one to cook on the coals, and this one again took the Yozuri, the same lure. This time we got it straight out of this creek that you're looking at behind us. He's 70 centimetres and fought pretty hard this one, and we're worried we're going to lose it around the tree roots that you can see in the background there. But yeah, managed to get him in. We'll release this one because we don't need this much fish at the moment unless you guys want to fillet it. No, so he's going back in for another day, and hopefully we get him when he's about a metre. Well, we've had a visit at the camp. Was he gone? No, there he is. That's like what? Probably 10 metres from our camp, if that, maybe a bit closer. We've got a steep bank here.
That head would have to be a metre long.
He's big. He's as big as Croc's skirt. That is a seriously big croc. There he is.
That's huge. Well, just turning off the West Alligator Head track down to the sort of 5 kilometre section offshoot that takes us to 4 Mile Billabong. I did look into West Alligator Point, but unfortunately it's still closed, and that track has been closed for a few seasons now, so there must be something wrong with it up there. In any case, it's probably pretty tough camping because I mean you're essentially camping right in the mangroves, and that's sandfly territory. This is fresh water, so there'll probably be some mosquitoes, but it should be far more comfortable camping. Not that you'll see this very well because of the crappy phone holder, but we're just about to emerge into the open floodplain section. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. And because we're driving pretty much into the sun, I don't think you're going to get too special a view. But yeah, this is the open floodplain section. Boat ramp there. That's the boat ramp up ahead there, mate. I'm just going to cut down here to see if we can find some spots further down the Billabong.
Yeah, copy that.
Obviously, this would be absolutely impossible at the wrong time of year in wet season, but we are in August now, so it's late dry season. Starting to warm up all right, but tracks are all still pretty accessible. Hopefully the water level will be alright. Yeah, pretty rough going along here. There's a spot down there I camped at a few years ago. Again, towards the end of this rough track, and you can see the Billabong. So now what we're looking for is somewhere where we can set up camp close enough to fish, but with opportunity for my cousin to move back far enough, because he doesn't have a rooftop tent. He's only got his swag, and this is not where you want to be too close to the water in a swag. But here we are. Looks pretty nice. Right, we found one potential spot, but we just want to check it a bit further up. Dean's happy just to take his swag back 50 metres. Just exploring really. We've got a couple of hours daylight to play with, so why not? This also looks pretty promising. Well, Dean's fighting off mosquitoes and a fish here. We've been here about an hour. Both been flicking lures, and this is probably, it's reasonable. Well, it's running. We want it to jump, that's what we want. Yeah, it's barra. I've got the measuring mat out. That'll be 40. Watch the crocs. Nice colour. It'll be close to size. I've got the measuring mat up there if you want. My cousin Dean with what's probably about your 10th cast.
Yeah, fat.
And he is 55 centimetres, so right on the legal size.
57.
57? Oh, way over the legal size. What are you going to do with him, Dean?
I don't know, we'll probably cook him up for dinner, eh?
Oh, that sounds bloody good to me. And I might even get you to hold him against the light so I get Even better photo, there we go. Lovely barra at 4 Mile Hole on the board. Dusk at 4 Mile Hole. Dean's already on the board. 58 centimetre barra, which we are going to cook on the coals, which we are currently burning down. And camp's all set. You can see Dean's sleeping up on the top of his roof, so he set his swag up on the top of his canopy there. And that's for obvious reasons. I might give him a bit of a rinse actually, mate.
Yeah, about 4 hours after Dean got his, this one's taken on the hand line, and he is pretty much the same as the one we had for dinner that Dean caught. It's about 56, 57 thereabouts, roughly the same. And Dean, that's headed for the shooting comp in Jabaree with you, eh?
That's it.
So a couple more decent fillets, and never eaten so much barramundi in my life, to be honest. We've just literally finished barramundi, a massive barramundi dinner when we caught this, so happy days.
Turning off the Stewart Highway and onto Maracay Road. So this road will take us over the Adelaide River. Sorry, I should have said we're turning off the Arnhem Highway onto Maracay Road. And this road will take, as I said, will take us across the Adelaide River and towards the Stewart Highway. And I remember some nice camps down this way from a few years back, so we'll go and see if we can find some of them. Here starts the gravel, so we might as well put it in high floor. Bought a four-wheel drive, we might as well use it. I don't get why four-wheel drives are so reluctant to use four-wheel drive function. Anyway, I always turn it on to four-wheel drive high whenever I get onto gravel because it gives you more control. And that whole concept of diff wind-up, that's not going to happen on a gravel road. That would only happen on bitumen, and probably only with the essential lock-on as well. Central diff lock. Slower section. So there's some big ruts in the ground which you have to drive over carefully, and this is no doubt as a result of being a floodplain. So in wet season, as you can see, the terrain changes completely. Looks fairly well dry at the moment. Some ponds either side. Oh, there's a tiny little croc. There he is. Tiny little croc. Side road that goes north off the Maracay. So let's see where it heads. This is a pretty little billabong just alongside the Adelaide River, very close to the Adelaide River. Lilies and little bait fish in there, and I'm sure some big bastard crocs probably in there as well. Here at the Adelaide River, we've had success in getting bait, that is. So in there we've got a couple of stripies and a couple of cherubin. I think 3 cherubin in fact, and 3 stripies. So that'll give us a good live bait fishing session. And we've got the fish in the water. There's the old beer can alarm, as usual. And the stripies in the drink. Fingers crossed. It's sort of mid-tide at the moment, going out. So probably not a bad time to be fishing actually. I'm really well organised this time. I have my beef curry cooking away on the coals. I even got the coals burnt up nice and early. Firewood all collected. Fire pit ready to go for the evening. And just waiting for the sun to go behind those trees before I flick a few cherubin around on the fishing rod. And then I'll put the live bait in, the live bait fish in when it gets dark. What a way to spend a night or an evening or whatever. Of course, a coldie is the only thing that makes it better. Cheers. There are some amazing wafts of curry smell coming from the camp oven, which makes me very excited. It should be a bloody good dinner. Cannot beat a curry that's slow cooked over the coals. I've said it before, and I still believe that there's no better privilege in life than camping by a wild river and spending time by a wild river. Just fishing a a cherubin on the fishing rod while the light's giving way, and then I'll switch to live bait on the fishing belt, the beer can alarm there. If I told you how good this beef curry is, you wouldn't believe me. But trust me, it is sensational. There's the first Adelaide River barramundi I've ever caught, but I'm not going to celebrate it too much because it's about 50 centimetres. So it's well undersized, but at least I've caught one in the Adelaide River. But he can go back. That's close to the biggest cherubin I've ever seen. There we go like that. He's plenty bigger than my hand. Massive. The claws are huge. Not even compared to that can. Little visitor to camp just as we're leaving. This little fella's pretty curious to see what's going on. I wonder whether he's worked out that I'm leaving and that he can come in and have a look and see if there's anything left for him. Anyway, he's moved back a bit, but he's definitely curious. So if you're joining us, this is Gunn Point Road towards the northern tip. So we're actually towards the northern tip of Gunn Point, which is also known as Fright Point. And hopefully can find somewhere to camp the night. It's probably not an ideal place to camp right on the point because of sandflies that'll be no doubt hanging around the mangroves, but it's just me this time, so if I did want to give it a go, it's not like Em's going to be bitten to pieces, so I might just risk it. Anyway, we'll film a bit closer. Driving along the floodlands here. There's a big marsh to the left, and you can see that, yeah, some of this track goes underwater sometimes at high tide, so have to keep an eye out for that. Salt marsh you can see there. About a kilometre to go now. tight with the rooftop tent. It's very tall, and it just has to. You have to be very careful going under canopy. But anyway, here we are at Fright Point. So, see, people have camped here before. There's the creek ahead there. Low tide at the moment. There's basically mangroves all around here. I'm sure I'm going to get smashed by sandflies, but at least Emma isn't going to. And honestly, my best bet is going to be right here. There's a flat bit of land there as well I can reverse onto, I think. Here at camp at Fright Point, and I've made a big call. I've committed. So the rooftop tent is up, the cooking gear is out, the bushman repellent is out, and I'll tell you why, as is the thermocell, and I'll also tell you why. We have managed to get some live bait, and that's a big part, some little garfish or long toms or whatever you want to call them, and that was a big part of the decision to stay. There are definitely sandflies here, as you'd expect in a place like this. But there's also some march flies as well. So I've been done by sandflies and march flies. I've covered myself in bushmans. I'm going to stick this thermocell on now. And because it's just me, I thought I'll sacrifice my comfort and accept that I'm going to be bitten to shit. So I can have a red hot crack at this saltwater creek, which is only a couple 100 metres from the mouth of the channel, as you saw. There's the beer can alarm. I'm just freeing up a beer can now, and we've got one of those garfish on a line in the creek. So I don't think there'll be much right now because it's low tide, but hopefully, and I should have checked as well and didn't, but the tides will come up and we'll catch something. Don't know what. Could be barramundi in there. Could be queenfish, could be anything, but at the moment tide's too low. But I would guess, you can see where all this mud is, so it fills up whenever the tide comes in. So that's what we're sort of waiting for. Beautiful spot, but I suspect I'm going to pay for it. No fish overnight, unfortunately. Just this baby muddy. There's only about, this baby mud crab is only about, I don't know, 10 centimetres. But even though he's only a baby, I still wouldn't want to be messing with those bloody claws. Heaps of power. Anyway, better get him back in the drink. I see a few people have stopped and set up here for a while. think. Just here at the Howard Springs River, not far from the Howard Springs village actually, not even that far from Darwin, and just flew along a little track, or drove down a little track that goes along the Howard River, and flicked the Yozuri lure around again. And yeah, just to show how effective that lure is, he picked up this little 15 centimetre rat barramundi. So yeah, juvenile barramundi. So they work these lures, I can't recommend them enough. There's juveniles in here. I wonder if there are any bigger ones or whether you have to go further downstream for them. Put him back in, eh? See you, mate. Hey there, just heading into Mataranka town, about 100 k's south of Katherine. I actually thought on the way home I'd do a detour and check out the Roper River. So I had a bit of a look on the maps and thereabouts, and I've got an idea of some places I want to have a look at. See if they're worth it or not. I guess if you're watching this, they probably were. I'll be going on the Roper Highway, which is just south of town. This track I found with HEMA maps, it's smack between the community land and the national park. The gate was wide open, so it's heading towards the river along Salt Creek. Let's see if it gets us there or not. And I can see entrances to the community to the right. So I figure, and looking at my map, I'm very close to the Roper River. It must literally be about 50 metres to my right. Just trying to see if we can find any access off this track. That's the creek. Range action. Ah, yeah, here we go. You've got to work hard to find these spots, but they present themselves. So welcome to the Roper River, and this is a pretty special spot, and I'm going to try and camp by the river just on the upper headland there. I'm going to try. The reason I say try is because I know I'm very close to an Indigenous community, and these tracks, well, yeah, it was low range track, but the whole track's pretty well worn. So I imagine this is a popular fishing spot for the local community, and I won't set up my tent until it's dark and I know people aren't going to come down here and let me know they don't want me here. But in the meantime, I'm going to start fishing this very deep hole. Got to be at least 10 to 15 feet deep. I can't see the bottom, even though the water's pretty clear. So we'll see how we go. Back at camp, I've had dinner, just enjoying a drink. Tragically, I lost 2 barra and one of my Yozuri twitch bait lures. So, tongue in cheek obviously, but that's as close to tragic as it comes on a fishing trip. Very first cast, I snagged a pretty good barra. I reckon it was around 70 centimetres. He fought hard, and just as he was weakening, he spat the bait somehow. So I spat it out. I cast another dozen times, eventually hooked him up again right near the surface. And this time, he must have used his gill rakers or whatever, but he cleaved the line off and I lost my Yozuri twitch bait lure. Put another one on, tried to get him, couldn't get him to hit again. I could see him in there. I could see him looking at the lure a few times. It's very clear water, but not to be. And I couldn't get any live bait, unfortunately, so the only chance I'm going to have is first light tomorrow morning with the lures again. But I know they're in here. I know they're in this water hole, so I know to come back here, even if I don't get anything this time.